daily card of the morning, back into the morning again. So I'm just bringing it up on my phone and waiting for people to join in. If you're new to my page, welcome. This is my introduction of my daily introduction for 45 days into my my new deck of Oracle cards that will be launching and coming out and available for purchase by the end of March. So I just want to share the journey and share the cards with everyone. But I want to just bring it up on my phone as I'm not seeing. Oh, there we go. I just always have to make sure I'm on live on both. So this is broadcasting through BeLive TV simultaneously through. Oh, I can't even get my words out this morning. Through YouTube and through Facebook Live. So good morning and welcome. So we just let a few people join in. And as people are joining in, I'm going to bring up my card. So if you're new and you have not been watching these morning lives, this is my deck of Oracle cards, the Everyday Goddess Oracle. The box cover is on my wall back there in the pink. And this is a deck of cards that I have been creating over the past few years. And I will be publishing and selling coming up this year. We have made some changes from yesterday till today. You're going to see some changes. So I want to also bring up the cover if I can. I don't know if I can. Let me see. I don't know if I saved the cover. I don't think I did. Okay. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, Judy. Good morning, Jody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So we have a lot of anyone who's watching and hasn't commented. Good morning to you as well. I always forget to say good morning to the people that doesn't comment. There's a lot of people that watch and don't comment, and that's fine. I can just see a little eye, and it tells me that there's so many people in here. So today we are talking about card number 17 of the deck. So today we have the card 17. This is the beautiful Serenity, the Eye of the Storm. And I was teaching a lot about this card last night in my class, and being able to stay centered. And serenity is that beautiful piece. And if you can see, like there's a ladybug laid on her, there's a butterfly. She's not getting distracted. She's very focused. Sorry, I got something in my eye. And so this is our card of today. I was letting just a few more people get in here so that I could, before I start, because I know when people get in, they kind of start missing. I just realized, I'm like, I have my granddaughter here today. So my little Sadie Grace is here visiting, and she just went down for a nap. So while my granddaughter just went down for a nap, I'm like, oh my God, I have to go live right now. And then I'm like, I don't think I actually combed my hair. So I did manage to, do everything else. I did get dressed. I did brush my teeth. I did all those things, but I don't think I brushed my hair. So while my granddaughter is sleeping, and I'm talking a little bit quieter because she's in the room next to me, she is only 8 months old. And so little Sadie Grace has to have a nap on time. Yeah, I'm doing this in nap time. So it's Sadie Grace's nap time. And so when she's awake, nothing is happening. When she's here, I don't work. I teach at night because she's usually in bed, but during the day, you don't get nothing done. So she usually comes when I got lots of time to spend with her. So today we are working on serenity. And that's the beautiful thing about my granddaughter. When she's here, it's like I can just be at total peace. I can let everything else go. So this beautiful card is also it's a little bit of the artist, Amelia. This card is a little bit of a tribute to her mom, to Lisa Richard, who's one of the most centered people we know. And this was based on a picture she had taken of her mom. And as her mom was sitting by the water, a rainbow was around her. And so this card became the creation of here. So when you look at the beautiful Pegasus above, that's also a beautiful unicorn, and the magic that's in this card. You see the rainbow energy. When we cross that energy, when we cross over from our being caught in our storm, being caught up in that energy, and we allow ourselves to be able to So the eye of the storm, the most peaceful place to be. If you can stay centered when everything else goes to shit and everybody wants you to be this or to be that, or you have such an, sometimes we have an urge to get all worked up, but we don't make wise decisions. We don't make wise choices. We react, we respond from the lower vibrating energy, from our fear, from our emotions. And that doesn't always lead to the best decisions, the wisest of choices. And so when we can actually move beyond that, we can start to think. So she is still in the mother energy, and as you can see from yesterday, they've now changed. They have their own. Every card now has its, well, in each series. So the maiden, the mother, and the crone all have their own little symbols that now tell you which category it's from. So it's when when we're in that stage of life when we realize how important it is for us to take time for us, when it's so important. And I remember teaching this. I went to teach business. I was doing some business coaching for an organization. And when the men heard that I was coming in to do meditation with them, they laughed a gutful. But everybody came because they were curious of, oh, we got to check this out. We got to see this whole. And so they start making fun of my work, like jokingly, and not mean, but just like teasing. But are we here to do? And they were making fun. And the moment I said a statement to them that really made them all sit up into their chair, I said, it's so important for you to have that period of time during the day that is for you. That, you still need, even if you've worked all day and you come home, everybody needs that time, that downtime to down. Like, you can't walk home from, say, work and take all of your work into the house and then walk into that chaos. If you're given the opportunity to be able to have that, to let go, to just breathe out your day, to process it through, you're much more able to handle the next role, the next place that you have to stop in. And I said, so what is really wrong with if you take if you go out and you sit in your man cave, you sit outside with your friends for half hour. What is really so wrong with that? And then stepping in. They were like, and it was validating something that they felt that most were not allowed to have. Because when we're just existing, when we're truly just existing, we get caught up in, well, I've been doing this all day and now it's your job. And now it's like, and so then we wonder why we become resentful of each other. Why in relationships we build up resentment. Why in friendships and family. And it's like we get resentful of when we put such high expectations upon each other that it's your job to do this. You have to do this right now. And that we don't realize that everybody is made of energy. And because we are created of energy, we are made with energy. It's the same thing in overloading. If you plug too many things into an outlet, you're going to blow a fuse. Yeah, right. You're going to blow a fuse. And if you're walking around blowing fuses, if you're walking around frustrated, anger, if you're trying to suppress it, you're just trying to keep your shit together, eventually it's going to explode. So when you start to be able to say, you know what, I need to just take 5 minutes, take a half hour, take what you need so that you can release that energy, so that you can settle that energy. Sorry, I'm listening. I think she's crying. And so I'm like, and so when you can do that, and whether it's male, female, so when you're in a relationship with each other, when you're in relationship, so when you're in relationship, even with yourself, is that you think of all sides, right? You think of, okay, so if we give each other time, if we look at each other as energy instead of a visual person, so that person walks in with a ball of negative energy and then you want them to be positive, but you throw more negative at them. And you're already in your own negative energy. And then you want somebody else with their negative energy. Now be calm. Well, now you got two negatives that are just like banging together, but you want a different outcome. You want something to be different. It doesn't work that way. So it's like you've got to be able to have that flow, right? You got to understand the power of the flow. And so that means taking a breath. That breath is your connection to source. Breath is connection to source. being able to breathe through that energy so that we can take a breath and we can think about our reactions, think about our response. And we also don't get so caught up in, if you see that little ladybug, yeah, on her shoulder, if you look real close, you can see there's luck on her shoulder. There's that sense of, when we see those things in the world, when we start to pay attention, we start to notice things. So, when you're just living, you're just existing, you see all bugs, you see all butterflies, you just keep walking, just keep going, there's another bug. When you stop and see the magic. So I was recording the Aries February recording for the zodiac, and it's -50, and a ladybug flew up from behind my computer. It's winter here. We should not have that. And so, oh, thank you. And so then you look and you should be like, oh my God, like there shouldn't be, but that ladybug caught my attention, and it made me stop and pause. And then it's like, well, ladybugs, all these little signs are messages from spirit, right? And so do you get caught in, sometimes it's like that messenger from spirit is so minute and so tiny that when you stop and you look at it, well, all of your thought changes. So everything that you were even angry about today. So when we say, oh, it's luck, so then people say, take it, and they'll go, well, I seen a ladybug. I didn't get no luck. Well, you were lucky enough to see the ladybug, to have an opportunity to be lucky enough, to be fortunate enough to be able to sit in this this experience, this moment of such love, such power, and to power yourself up on love so that you can change the rest of your day. And the rest of your day may be a whole different story than the day that when you were spiraling down the street and you were arguing with yourself, that after you changed that energy, everything else changed, right? And so, being the eye in the storm, transformation happens when we stop the spin. So yesterday in my class, I was teaching about the chakra, and I was teaching about the energy. I don't like the word chakra so much. It's like the energy field. So then you look at it, and I'm like, I was drawing out the stuff on my chart, and I said, I'm drawing out these triangles, and this is all part of a new program I'm teaching, that I'm preparing to teach. And as I'm drawing the triangle, and I said, when the triangle turns, and I said, where's the circle? And my daughter says, well, if you spin a triangle fast enough, it's a circle. So your eyes will see what it wants to see. So if you see a person spinning out of control, or if you're spinning out of control, then you see the madness, you see the anger. If you stop and pause, the circle becomes a triangle. So ultimately, it was always a triangle, right? And so it's this, that, and the truth. So when you can become centered, calm, you can see this, that, and you can do the truth. You can see the truth. So when I was taking my Lead Like Jesus training, even way back, so when I went back and start doing these questions again, was that I had to take what aligned to me from it. And what I recognized was, when they would ask the question, what would Jesus do? Or what would an angel do? What would your spirit guide do? What would, change it to whatever you want. You don't have to use that name. That's a higher vibrating energy. It's like you think of the good, you think about the positive, you think about, so, but you had to force yourself to think that. You had to think through somebody else's eyes to see the positive. Because in the other part, in the human essence, we automatically tend to go to the more struggling part. We automatically go through the challenge. We automatically go through that. We'll have to fight our way through this. Through that sense, we looked at it in such a different way. And when we looked at it in a different way, then we had the choice to choose a direction. And we had a choice, when you choose, that choice to choose is whether or not you're going to let that storm that you've been in be a storm of change or a storm of destruction, right? And so when you find your way back to you, when you center in, everything looks different, everything feels different, and you close your eyes. You allow your third eye, which would be like a triangle with our little evil eye in there. And so when you look at things from that way, when you allow your third eye to see for you, you see things differently. And what makes, we'll believe in a horse, but we can see a horse, right? But you wouldn't believe, it's like, well, unicorns, Pegasus energy, well, that's just ridiculous. That's just crazy. How can you believe in that kind of magic? Well, look in the constellation. Look in the stars. If you look into the stars, you'll see a unicorn. you will see a unicorn. It's in the constellation. So there's magic everywhere. You just got to be willing to look deep enough. So if you look at a ladybug and say, well, how's that a messenger from, how's that a spirit messenger? Like, how's that a messenger? Why could it not be? Right? And so why not you make that change? Why not you choose to change? No matter what's going on, you have an opportunity to change the story, to redirect. So when I wrote this card, I first had her, I was going to call her perspective and then contentment. And then I said to Lisa, I'm like, this is your card to name. You're to write the message for this card. So we still don't have the whole message. But she changed her name to Serenity, right? And so contentment, perspective, serenity, peace. When we can become at peace, we become content. When we find that sense of serenity, when we surrender it all over and we find peace, we have serenity. So in serenity, when you expand beyond that, you have contentment. You can see things with a new perspective. You can look at things differently. And and so I remember always saying, like my grandmother used to say to me, remember being content. Like, just remember, be content with what you have. Be content with what you have. And I couldn't understand, like, how can I just be content if I don't even have, like, if I don't have enough money now? How can I be content if I don't have the things that I need? I don't get it, Nan. I was young. I was young. I don't get it. Be content with what you have. Everything, and now I understand everything that you need to guide you, to be your guru, to inspire you. Everything that you need to help you through challenging situations is all right here. You have every gift, you have everything. Everything is inside of us. Everything outside of us becomes those bonus life that we live when we start to make peace with this and we stop trying to reject those beautiful pieces of us. And so, yes, the puppy did steal. Yes, the puppy stole the chair, and she's snoring. And so, from a healed place, from that healed sense, that healed place, when you can change that perspective. So when I got that message, I really slowed down. I stopped trying to make my world happen. Started to accept my world. When you accept your experiences, when you accept your world, when you accept, what am I to learn from this experience? What do I gain by, what can I gain by making a choice to move beyond this experience? She obviously doesn't know that this is one of my friends. She doesn't know I'm on Facebook. And so either way, it's when we come from complaining, when we come from a lack of, when we move beyond and we gain new perspective, we start to allow ourselves to let the transformation unfold. We believe in something that is larger than life. We start to accept that, just because we can't see it, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's about learning to live in the invisible world, right? Learning from the elders, exactly, right? And so when we can learn to live in your invisible world instead of in the material world, because we have a dependency on the material world. And that dependency on the material world has caused us a lot of our isms, a lot of our issues. Hold on. Sorry. There was like a big smudge in the middle of my camera. And so when we move and shift our energy and we start to make those changes, is that we recognize living in the invisible world. Living from the belief in the invisible world will leave you less dependent upon the material world deciding for you. So when you can start to recognize everybody as energy and not so in their roles, and then you having expectation upon yourself or other people in those roles, then you can start to set people free because they're not identified fully by the role that they are given. that whole sense we are human, but we're also a spiritual being, is that we absorb much energy in a day. And if you give everybody an opportunity to let that energy go, to charge back up, to refresh, to redo, to reset, all of those things, we start to be able to see a difference in our relationships. So change it from being able to look at a person and identify them and place them how you want to see them, and to place a face to it, and change them to energy. And when you change it to energy, the story will begin to change. This is beautiful Serenity. And she doesn't have a full message, but she's got a lot to say. And when her message comes through, when it comes through in the deck, of course, it may not be the message that resonates with you when you choose the card. So it's when you choose these cards, or when you're looking at these cards, what does it make you feel today? What are you feeling today looking at this card? What are you experiencing in this very moment as you allow this card to step into your energy, as you allow Serenity to step into your energy? What is your message of today? What are you receiving? And that's what I want people to be able to get from these cards. So let's validate this. Oh, I love this card. This is also a card that you would have seen earlier, because this is 7. So we have 17, we have 7, and this is Merlina. And Merlina got a lot happening. If you notice the eye of a storm, it looks like there's not a lot happening because it's so pastel-y, it's so peaceful. It's so, like, the colors are so soft, so gentle. So you don't realize there's so much happening in that picture. You really got to look deep. So if you look at Serenity, you can see the eye behind her. You can see the rain, like you can see it as a rainbow. And when you only first look, you look at it and all you see is the rainbow. If you look closer, there's an eye. And she's in the eye. She's in front of the eye. She's not inside of the eye. But around her, is that water or is that storm? What is there? Is that behind her? Is that energy, or is that clouds? Is that the sky? You really have to, it's such a subtle, big message in that card. Well, this card that I'm going to show you now that validates this is that both have the same energy, just one is colorful. So one has more coming on, and it goes right back to the animal spirits, right? It goes back to the spirit animals that guide us, and they all have a message. And this is 7, and this is Merlina. So this is the mystical dreamer. In serenity, in peace, we give ourselves the opportunity to dream beyond our dream, to dream beyond our human dreams, to imagine that if we could have the life we dream of, it may not look like our material world, but it could look very magical. It can look very mystical. It can be very beautiful. It may not look like the dream of anyone else's, or what the world says is normal, but it can be your dream, and you get to create it. And so she's half in and half out. She's in the water, she's out of the water, she's reaching up. It's almost like she's coming out of hiding. She's done hiding. She's allowing herself to be her, and she's reaching. And that jellyfish is, you got the angelfish, you got 2 crabs, you got the red, you got the gold, you got 2 jellyfish, you got the one that's down inside the water, you got the one that's up here. And you hear people say, well, jellyfish are, they'll sting you. Well, some have that ability, but their energy, they have, you have that electric charge. Water is also energy. Water has the capability to be electric charge, but water as neutral is safe. It is comfortable. Water without being charged up with wind is also much calmer, right? And so there's such energy, there's such truth. And then you have down here, you have a little turtle, and then you have the little starfish, and you have so many things that is happening in this picture. But this one looks like it's much calmer. This one looks like it's much peaceful. But who says this card is not calm, right? And it's like, it's this or it's that. What is your truth? And so you don't have to be someone who sits in total, you don't have to be someone who's zen, who's always that quiet to be calm. Someone could still have a very active energy and still be at peace and still be calm. It doesn't mean that is if it's not for you. So you may have children in your home. You may have two children. One may be calm and gentle and always needing peaceful, and the other one may always need to be creating, always going with their hands, drawing, drawing, sketching, coloring. It doesn't mean that both are not peaceful children or both don't know like serenity. It means one is sitting, allowing herself to be or himself to be creative and thinking forward into the dreams and the possibility, whereas the other one is allowing themselves to sit into the third eye and allowing the dream to unfold. So there's different ways of seeing. Peace will not always look the same way. So often in spirituality and spiritual work, people say, oh, I could never meditate. I could never. Well, can you go mow the grass? Can you go for a walk? Well, if you can do those things and you can do it alone and you can, just turn everything off and just walk and listen to the birds and listen to nature, well, you're still receiving everything that you need. Those are all ways to bring yourself back to center, to ground yourself, to be connected. Water and air. Yes, water and air. And we're in the middle of some water and air energy, I believe, right now. I haven't been following much, but I channel through a lot. But the message is, so Merlina, being a mystical dreamer, and Serenity are both dreaming, are both creating. They're both living in their existence. They're both present in that moment. And so it may look different, but everybody's going to approach things differently. So in a relationship is learning to understand each other, learning each other's energy language. And so when they talk about learning love language and they talk about learning, how to read people, it's about learning how to read energy. It's about not looking at the human, looking beyond the human, like looking beyond your dream, looking deeper into your dream. There's nothing wrong with being a little bit mystical and magical when you can allow yourself to, well, nothing wrong with it at all, to dream a little bit bigger than you dreamed yesterday. And so that means is that you start to include yourself in your dream, include yourself in your plans, include yourself in your peace, include yourself in your happiness, include yourself in your life. Because when your life is created for everyone else, you are not coming any closer to peace and serenity. And then we're going to give it our third card for the day. I feel like I have a message. I got this burning feeling behind my eyes. And I'm like, I feel like there's a bigger message. And I'm trying to let it come out. And I'm like, I don't know if it's for here or if I don't know if it's for somewhere else today. But it's like it's back here and I keep hearing it and it keeps pulling me, but it's not coming out over my lips. That's how it works. So if you also haven't seen yesterday evening, I did post on YouTube, and I always put the links on my business page, and for some reason, they're not being seen. Only like 1 or 2 people are able to see them. I don't know why, but I posted a link yesterday, and it's on my YouTube, and it's a podcast that I created yesterday about betrayal. And so it's our transformation through betrayal, and how, we understand betrayal of being betrayed, but sometimes we don't realize also when we're being betrayed or when we go through betrayal in relationships, cheated on, hurt, abandoned, those type of things, that PTSD, anxiety, those things that come after, and how we carry that into other relationships. Also about betraying ourselves by continually holding on. So that video is up, that podcast is up, and I'm trying to find the best place to put my audios, my podcast audios. I have so many podcasts created, and I just keep putting the videos on YouTube, but I have all the audios for them, and I want to put them in a podcasting place, and I'm just not sure where to put them. So our validating card to this, we got a whole lot. So we're definitely in air and water today. So we definitely have some storm energy here. You did see it, Auntie Jack? Good. I'm glad you're one of the lucky people that's seen it. So we got three women here in these cards that are all very different. It's a very interesting. So we had Serenity, who's more our calm, peaceful. We have our mystical. So this is a little bit of spiral dynamics right here, right now, right? So we have your peaceful, you have your mystical, and then you have your Delilah, your awakening energy coming into her own. And and these are both, so these are both maiden cards, and this is mother card. And so I got to shrink one down here. So this is beautiful Delilah. And so the awakening, the coming up and the coming into self. And right away, we have these lilies here. And they're not so much water lilies. They're not the lotus flower lily. Some look like they're a little more like that. They look a little more like a tiger lily. But this is the truth. In the world of magic and creation, you can create things to look however you want them to look. It's her lily, it's her flower, it's her blossoming moments, it's her blooming. She can make it whatever she wants it to be. It is her world. And she's making peace with that. You can see she's not quite got her legs crossed. It's like she's moving to the side. She's like she's protecting what is hers. She's not feeling the need to defend herself. She's like owning her flower. She's holding it right there. She's holding her truth. She's holding on to her truth. She's holding what is hers. And then she's truly starting to know she is rooted. Her feet are still in the roots. So there's a part of her still in the ancestors. There's a part of her still connected to who she was, but she's also connected to who she is now. And then she's wondering who she shall be, who she will be. Who will I be when I fully embrace me? Who will I become? And Delilah also comes with the stories of, betrayal. See, you just can't make this shit up. Delilah comes with the stories of betrayal, which I spoke about yesterday in the podcast. There's a reason. And so, in betraying in having to make the decision to betray someone that she cared deeply for to be able to get money to help her family, she betrayed herself. So, she betrayed herself. She betrayed somebody else. She turned against everything she believed who she was because she felt she had to do something because she didn't have enough faith to wait and trust that her family would be cared for. She let the fear get in the way. And when she let the fear get in the way, she turned against her faith. She turned against who she was. She lost her sense of dignity, pride, integrity, respect, and she started to turn away. And now here she is. She's starting to come back. She's starting to accept the past is, and the past energy is the past. I can't redo it. You can't fix the past. You can't keep living in the past, the energy of the past, and expect your future to become better than it was before, because you will betray yourself again. And I always say, when you want people to keep supporting you in a lie or in your not true self, and you want people to come to your side even though you know it's not of your highest good, is you're also asking other people to betray you. And you keep saying, I don't want to be betrayed, but you also ask other people to betray you. It's that perfect storm again, right? And it's how the triangle goes into a spinning circle. It's how we spin, because we don't look at betrayal we in a bigger span. We look at it in just what the big impact is, what caused the bomb, and so we see that story, but we don't see all the little white lies of betrayal. We don't see all the things that brought us to one big story of losing faith, of losing courage, of losing our self-respect, our dignity, and selling ourselves short by selling ourselves out, that we're also betraying ourselves. And then when we ask other people to support our unhealthy cause, when we ask other people to support it, even though they know it's not of the highest good, they are going against their better judgment, of going against their love for us. Every time we ask that of a friend or anyone else, then they are also betraying themselves and they are betraying us. And the betrayal story becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. So Delilah is when she stops expecting, stops having that sense of, when she recognizes where the betrayal really started was with herself, when she recognizes her truth, and she starts to see the damage that was caused, the big damage that happens after betrayal. and she's making peace. So serenity, peace. And so when we go back to here, right? For food on the table. Exactly. She had to do what she thought she could do, but she lost faith that food would come another way, right? So because we get scared, we're nervous, we don't know where it's going to come from. So we sell ourselves short. And trust me, sold myself short a few times in life of fear stories, of allowing fear to get in the way. So we lose that sense of fear. And so when we can hold faith to the invisible world, when we can hold on to, you can't see fear, you can be told fear. Like, people can cause you to be afraid, they can trigger you, they can trigger your emotional self. But fear you can't hold in your hands, but you can believe in it so strong and have such a conviction that it can control and lead your life. But you also can't see faith. You can't hold faith. You can't hold compassion. You can't hold kindness. You can't hold any of that. It is not physical form. It is invisible energy. But you have a tend to not believe that, to lose that, but not lose fear. Right? Fear will still win. We have an automatic sense, an automatic state in the human ability to go to that and believe in it such strong, in such a way that it has such a hold over us that it captures us, that it entraps us. But then you say, well, but I couldn't see the good coming. I couldn't see. But you also, the fear was only, you believed it because somebody else instilled it to you. And so on conditioning ourselves from believing in, I have to have proof, I have to see, and starting to believe in the magic of the mystical, the mystical world of faith, of that there's a light inside of you can't see. You can't hold those things. But there's a lot of things you can't hold that you truly believe in. And you bring it to matter, you bring it to life. So any, like pain, those type of things, is that coming up to that experience, and everything that happens before the pain turns to matter in the body was all energy. And if you catch it before it turns to matter, if you catch that energy, if you power it up on light, embody it with light prior to, you wouldn't have near the problems as what we have. But once it's formed, sometimes you can't remove that, but you can work on all the energy around that adds pressure to it, that makes it more painful than what it needs to be. And that usually comes by stop punishing ourselves for the mistakes of the past, for the things that we have done in the past, for those places where we have placed ourselves in becoming the Delilah of our story. And the awakening is freeing yourself of those, moving beyond that, setting yourself free. Hi, everyone who's joining in, who's been joining in. Welcome. Thank you for being here. I always kind of chuckle that some of these messages people stay for, other messages people leave quite quickly. And we just actually had this discussion. My daughter's here, and she instantly understood the triangle and how the triangle is a circle. And how, when a triangle starts to spin really fast, it'll look like a circle, but did it become a circle, or was it still a triangle? Right? And it was still a triangle. It was still a triangle. And so people will argue that it's a circle, circle. But does it matter if it's a circle or triangle? What matters is what it's, the energy is what it's causing. Is it causing good, or is it causing a negative? What's it doing? What is the purpose of that triangle? Is it to disturb, to be destructive? Is it to shift and change the energy? And by coming back to the triangle, we get in that middle centered self. Yeah. Oh, there's the cat. So going back, I'm taking down a couple of these cards, sorry, because I can only share so many at a time. So I'm going to give one more, and this is a message, and I am in all weekend. You'll see me all weekend. Sunday you will not see me till later in the afternoon, but you will see me again tomorrow. I feel like there's some sort of stale energy in the air today. It's almost like it's a stale energy. There's a whole lot of messages that feel like they want to come out, they don't want to come out, but there's a stale energy. And so I knew there was another message here. So with this serenity, these cards love to go together. For whatever reason, there's certain cards that just love to go together. So serenity and contentment, which you've also seen prior, those two cards, for some reason, love and Delilah love to come out together. And so this is Contessa. This is contentment. You have not seen her yet because we haven't got to card 25, but she's pushing herself in here today. She's been dying to get in here today. And so she's telling us, I'm like, "Ooh, Miss Contessa has been pushing her energy." So I have an energy that's pushing its way in over my shoulder. And I feel like this is spirit guide. I feel like this is total angelic. I really truly feel like this is Archangel Uriel that's pushing its way over my shoulder today. And I just feel like it's like when we really truly can embrace that beautiful wisdom and spirituality on a level of not being caught in the commercialism of spirituality. That's what I'm getting. Not to be caught. Anybody can wear the freaking t-shirt that says, "I'm at peace, a namaste, you know, let that shit go." Anybody can sit in that energy. You can go to a yoga class, you can do a meditation. Contentment is when you know you have put the work in, that you have done the work. That's a big thing about everything that I say. I get everyone who's got an opinion for me, a story of like, "Oh yeah, I went to this one class and I got it all figured out." And then you want to preach everything to everybody. Like, "I got it all figured out. I already know this and da da da." And you get somewhere and you start to, all of a sudden, "I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that." Well, when we do that, is that we're often wearing the matter of spirituality, what has formed into a belief of the material world of what we can see. If you look a certain way, if you behave a certain way, if you sit in namaste in peace with your legs crossed, then you are spiritual, that you've made it to that level. And so it kind of starts to turn a lot of people away from the fact of of peace, of contentment, because they feel like they are never enough. And the industry has created a world where you are never enough. You're never enough. And that's been everywhere. And I've seen it everywhere. And I see it a lot lately. And so I'm being told this. I'm like, "Listen, speak your wisdom, Corey. Speak that truth that we tell you." So it's the same thing of, why when you walk inside of a church, the first thing they show a child is a Jesus on a cross with nails in its hands and telling them and teaching them fear and suffering. Same with spirituality. Why do we teach that the only way that you're going to be at peace in spirituality, and not all, is that you're going to have to sit with your legs crossed, you're going to have to do ums and namastes and all of this. Peace, contentment is when you find your way home to you, that fear is not leading your life. That the one thing that we do not treat in this world, the untreated illness of the world, is fucking conditioning. And that we're so conditioned. And so when we can uncondition from everything that we have conditioned to believe, and I'm like, and even this work has even stepped into conditioning because we have the unhealed healer, and because we have a commercialism, and because we have turned energy into matter, and there's so much to be said. And so I always tell people, listen, if your idea of your practice is that you go out and you mow your grass and you sit back in your chair and you have a beer and you go, and you feel accomplished, you look at your green grass and you're at peace and you're happy, well, you've made a connection to you. You've took the time to spend with you. You have found your way into something. Now, that's the beginning. That's the beginning stages. Now, the rest is about the work. And it's about when you no longer are running around trying to tell other people exactly what to need to do with their life, being an influence so that everybody falls into your fear story, your way of living life, your way of thinking, so that everyone around you comforts your comforts your uncomfortable world that you have convinced yourself is comfortable. When you can truly let all of that go, flowing in unconditional love is that you don't have conditions on the people in your life. You don't have conditions upon yourself. You let go of expectations. You have healthy sense of goals. You have a healthy sense of self. You have a healthy sense of awareness that in order for us to be able to live in this world and to achieve a sense of accomplishment is that it takes action steps and that we have to put the action steps into our lives. But we can't keep holding people hostage and we can't keep holding other people accountable for all of the shit that has happened in our lives. And we also can't keep living in the past. But we can't keep expecting and judging people and telling people, oh, you're only going to be enough. You're going to be spiritual if you become this, you become that. And you lower your voice and you become very quiet. I know a lot of very high active spiritual people, and they're fucking amazing, and they're good people, and they're at peace, they're content, they judge no one, they criticize no one. That becomes the journey. That becomes the truth. Beautiful Contessa, that contentment. She's made peace with all that. She's laser focused on what she needs to do within herself to be the change so that the world will then, that she will be a better person in this world, to be a better human. Our journey is about becoming the best human being that we can be, that we can embrace and listen to that inner voice, listen to that soul self. When we can declutter, dejunk, move away all the stories, the world is not responsible for the one person that hurt us as a child. And that becomes anger. So when you see that strong energy, it's like, I'm going to conquer the world and I'm going to destroy everything that's out there in that industry and in these people and in this life and taking that down. Well, the collateral damage that leaves behind can be catastrophic. But if you don't look over your shoulder and you stay in your hero, giving yourself the hero biscuits for all the things that you're doing to nurture your insecurities, your fear stories, all the other things, you didn't actually heal you. You just kept allowing the material world to keep you occupied, to keep you occupied. So you didn't really still care about you or about other people, because when you stop and look at the people that are left behind or the damage that's left behind, trying to, the people that's had to pay the cost to keep you happy or to keep you satisfied or to give you your desired outcome, when you stop and look at that sometimes. So when you do your work for you, when you do you well enough, it does not come at the cost of everyone else. And I remember when I was writing my book, I remember way back when, and I read this in something that I was doing with Dr. Wayne Dyer back when he was alive. He was my mentor. He was like, and he still comes to me, still communicates through me. And he said, your desire, what you have to remember this in any work that you do, your desire work and what you put out there and what you're so happy about should not be at the cost and the expense of hurting and harming somebody else. And so if you do those things and if you write those things, sure, I think it was Dr. Wayne that said this. And so when you do this and you do this work, and you do a healing. So when I wrote More Than Existing, I could not write it from the place of bashing everybody. It was from the point of I understand everybody. I do not justify that the behavior was okay. But when you understand that everybody previously and everybody, including ourselves, have been conditioned, that we've all been impacted, we've been hurt, we've been harmed. And so when an unhealed child grows into an adult and you haven't dealt with the unhealed child, well, we have immature parenting, we have immature adulting, and we haven't spiritually grown up. And so spiritual awakening also includes spiritual maturity. Spiritual maturity also means it means opening our minds, gaining new perspective, that our knowledge is one thing, but wisdom is another. Spirituality doesn't have a face. It doesn't have a look. It does not have a definition of defined laws and rules. That's not what it has. And when you can live by the code of ethics that aligns to a truth of what it means to be able to place yourself in the most highest of regard of light. And if that's, what would they do? How would they respond? How would they behave? Well, everything that you expect of somebody else to do in the world, you better start being that yourself. And when you start to be that yourself, I expect people, why aren't people kind to me? Why is it people not nice to me? Well, why am I not kind to myself? Why am I not nice to myself? Why do I expect that of somebody else, but I don't expect the same of me? Why do I not have the same standards on me? Why do I get so offended when somebody's hurting me, but I'm like lashing my tongue out at the world? Why? So when you can bring that home to you and you make peace with that, you find a sense of contentment. And she is the beautiful. She's on like one of the bottom cards of the mother energy. When she's at the top. She's ready to step into her crone energy. She's ready to fully embrace the crone. She's so close. And what she's doing with that pink part of her dress, that flow, that she's letting it go. She's letting it slide away. She's letting it fall away. Her heart center is so open. Her solar plexus so open. But everything that's inside of her is also behind her, and it's also in front of her. Everything that's inside of her is behind her and in front of her. It's all alike. And it all comes into form in the way, in the energy that you see it, project it, live it. And that's the life of contentment. And that's the message she has for today. She's been over my shoulder. So Archangel Uriel is truly telling us about connection, about the power of connection, the power of grace, which is the cover of the oracle cards. That little girl is grace. When you can recognize and learn that when you are aspiring to oneness, when you're aspiring to live a peaceful, content life, oneness is a virtuous life. Oneness is that you become one with humanity, that you show dignity, respect to humanity. And when we've lost that huge sense of dignity and respect to humanity. Humanity doesn't have a specific face. And when you pick and choose who's going to be enough in this world or who's going to be, I'm going to use the term, woke enough, then that is not spiritual. That is not awakening. That is so far from the truth. That is fears and insecurities, spiritual immaturity, all of those things that we have a lot of awakening to still do. Contentment, peace that I've made is not making a decision, a choice to get involved into that story, to not become a part of that, and to just know God has a plan. And there's something more, there's something so beautiful and wonderful on this other side when all have to start to come into a reality of the destructive damage that those type of thoughts cause. And when we make peace and come back to here, unconditional means unconditional. So you can't know unconditional love as long as you place conditions upon the people and upon the world. And the moment there's a condition, there's not unconditional. So we can love with the understanding that we are growing, we are evolving, and everybody's on a different journey and everybody's in a different place. And until we sometimes have to be hit hard with an energy, with a state, with a faded experience, a faded moments, that's when we start to fall back. And sometimes we got to fall off our high horse. And when we fall off our high horse, it doesn't mean that the world ends. It means we end our bullshit stories. We stop telling ourselves those stories. And now we have an opportunity to, how do I really want to be? How do I really want to be seen? How do I really want to represent myself? And that contentment comes when you stop placing conditions even upon yourself. And you start to allow that I just have to start setting myself free here and start to recognize everything I expect out there. I better start bringing that home to me. Why do I have such high standards on that world? And I'm so free to let myself not to place those same standards on me. So being able to stay in the middle ground, I would say the center of the cross, the center of the cross. At the center of the cross, you can see everything. And that's where mystics And that's where us as oracles, as mystics, as channels, we stay there for a reason, because I don't want my ego to ever become infused into anything that we do. So you move your ego aside, move your human aside, push her over there, and to be able to let yourself be in alignment. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Um, Faithfully with me, the ones that are following all the time. Anybody new, this is my deck of oracle cards. This is my journey through creation that started as a child. When I was a little girl, I start drawing these hourglass figures. And I used to draw them all the time. I draw them everywhere. I did not know that years later, in my late 40s, I would pick up a sketchbook and I would start drawing the same figures. And then I would hear a message. Then I heard a message so loud that says, you will create the everyday goddess cards. Because we're so caught up in the image of goddess, of a fear story around goddess, around that's the only goddess in the world is those goddesses, and we can't ever compare to those goddesses. Those goddesses are representations of us, and they're divine, they're feminine energy. And so it's amazing what happens when one woman takes a stand for herself, and then she becomes a monster with claws and big wings, and when she's no longer following the rules, right? And so that's where Lilith came from. And we all have a Lilith in us, we all have a Delilah, we all have those in us. So the everyday goddess was to create beautiful decks of cards that came from my childhood imagery, that then I would have to get help and ask for an artist to bring this dream even farther, to dream bigger, to see it bigger, to see the picture bigger. And so then she took the sketches and she created them into these images. So this dream started as a child. I didn't know it was a dream. I didn't know it was a channeled message. I didn't know what was to come. I trusted the journey the same way I am trusting the cards as they unfold, and they have now taken a new life, and they are making their way into publishing. They're making their way into the world, and that's us. We are making our way. Be gentle, be kind to yourself, make peace with our past, and it means that we have to do the work. Becoming spiritual don't mean that it automatically just happens and you wake up one morning and you go, oh, I've achieved it. No, you get in the freaking home base. It means putting in the work. It means action steps. Magic and miracles happens when you take action steps towards making yourself a priority, but also making yourself accountable, ownership and responsibility of being able to face your truth, face your reality, to pick up the corners, the rugs, to start clean that out, clean out the clutter, clean out the closet, clear it out, set it free, and allow yourself to set without having to fill it all back up again, allowing life to unfold. Thank you so much for being here, for always being here. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. And I will be back again tomorrow morning. And chances are it will be when my granddaughter goes to sleep again. So it should be around the same time tomorrow morning. And I will see you then. Much, much love. Have a great day.